Officially 4 weeks post-op from my BBL reduction and lift, and I have to be honest about something. BBL blindness is a real thing and nobody really talks about it. At first, I thought my BBL looked amazing, but just over time, I realized it was just way too big for my body, and I had this like huge overhang that just didn't look natural, proportionate anymore with my body.
So by the title, we're talking about whether we're overcorrecting body standards all over again. And this has been sitting heavy on my mind for a minute now. If you've been online in the last 5 to 7 years, you've seen the whole aesthetic flip like a switch. Not once, but at least twice. We went from the loud, dramatic BBL baddie era to the strict gym girl grind, then straight into the soft Pilates princess vibe, sliding right into clean girl minimalism, and now we're floating somewhere in the middle like nobody wants to claim a side. Through all of it, bodies got smaller, makeup got softer, outfits got more low-key and effortless. The same influencers who once pushed over-the-top curves and non-stop shopping hauls are now selling green powders, walking pads, and this polished, quiet luxury image like it's the new rule book. And yes, I've made plenty of videos about BBL culture before, so I already know some people are thinking, here she go again. But this isn't me replaying old takes. This is about what happened after that era crashed and burned, and whether we actually learned something or just swung to the other extreme because the BBLs didn't disappear, they didn't vanish, they just got smaller, subtler, more natural, and that shift right there says a lot. We didn't drop the pressure, we just polished it up and gave it a new filter. That's what makes this whole shift so interesting. Is this real growth? Is it cultural burnout? Or is it just another extreme women are expected to chase without missing a step? The rules changed, but the expectations never left. So I broke this video into 4 main talking points to really unpack what's going on. Let's get into it. First up, from BBL baddie to Pilates princess. If you rewind back to the late 2000s, the dominant online aesthetic was loud and crystal clear. Curves were pushed to the max. Waist trainers were everywhere. Fashion Nova had a serious grip on the timeline. Instagram models like Ari Fletcher and Jada Chavis were setting the standard for what desirable looked like, especially for Gen Z and younger millennials. The rapper baby mama image became aspirational before people even questioned it. That look wasn't just trending, it was the blueprint, and if you didn't fit it, you felt it. Older millennials had their era shaped by video vixens and women like Buffy the Body, and later Amber Rose and Blac Chyna helped lock in that super curvy silhouette as the gold standard. In mainstream culture, you can't even talk about modern beauty standards without acknowledging that lineage. It didn't just pop up out of nowhere, it was built step by step. Then the BBL boom hit, and that look became more accessible than ever. Suddenly, the hourglass figure wasn't just rare genetics, it was something you could schedule and finance. It became so normalized that if you didn't have that shape, you felt behind, like you missed the memo. But here's the twist. The look didn't disappear. It evolved. Instead of extreme proportions, the new version got smaller, more balanced, less exaggerated. The drama toned down, but the pressure stayed. Fast forward to now, and the aesthetic is leaner and tighter. It's toned arms, slim hips, Pilates classes, long walks, protein bowls, and that clean glow. When Ice Spice's body changed, the internet exploded. People literally said her ice melted. Oh, did I say that? The commentary was loud, messy, and way too comfortable. Yeah, that might have been me. But the backlash was real because she no longer fit the exaggerated curvy image people had locked onto. The second her body shifted, the energy shifted with it. Then she adjusted again and landed somewhere in between, and suddenly the noise calmed down. That reaction says a lot about how fast we tie identity to body trends like their personality traits. The gym girl era is constant. The Pilates girl era is constant. It's packaged as discipline, wellness, balance, all the right buzzwords. But if we're honest, it still circles back to appearance. It's still about the visual. What makes this shift wild is that many of the same influencers who once pushed hyper curvy aesthetics are now selling toned frames and soft minimalism. The body's changed, but the pressure stayed loud. Women are still reshaping themselves to match whatever the timeline rewards in the moment. And that brings me to point number 2, the Ozempic era and the quiet weight loss. Another layer people don't talk about enough is how pharmaceutical culture quietly slid into the chat. You would be shocked at how many emails I've personally received asking me to promote GLP-1 medications or weight loss sponsors. And I've turned them down, not because I'm judging anyone who uses those medications. That's personal and between them and their doctor, but because I don't feel right promoting something when I don't fully understand the science or the long-term effects. If someone tried something because I casually hyped it up and it went left, I would feel horrible. I'm not carrying that on my conscience. But the flood of those sponsor requests tells me one thing. Serious money is moving behind the scenes. Publicly, we celebrate body positivity and love yourself as you are. Privately, there's a massive push toward medically assisted weight loss. Suddenly, a lot of people look slimmer, more controlled, more toned, and it's all framed as wellness and health goals. But culturally, let's be honest, the real reward is still the aesthetic. The praise still goes to the smaller waist, the sharper jawline, the snatched glow up. We've seen this cycle before. Thin was aspirational once, and now it's being rebranded with a prescription pad and a wellness hashtag. In the early 2000s, thin was the dream. In the 2010s, curves took over. And now we're watching slimness make a comeback. But this time it's dressed up as health optimization. That nuance matters, because when the dominant body type shifts, women absorb it, whether they plan to or not. Think about it. You log on, you scroll, you compare. Even if you tell yourself you don't care, a part of you is clocking what gets praised and what gets ignored. This doesn't mean no one should pursue health. That's personal. But it does mean we need to notice how fast a collective pivot can start feeling like a requirement instead of a choice. 1 minute it's inspiration, the next minute it's expectation. That's how subtle the pressure moves. Now let's get into my third point. Social media speed and trend fatigue. One reason these shifts feel so intense now is because social media puts everything on fast forward. In past decades, beauty trends evolved slowly. There was breathing room. Now it happens in algorithm cycles, and if you blink, you're already behind. One viral aesthetic runs the show for a few months, and then it's gone like it never existed. Women don't just see these standards once in a while, they're submerged in them every single day. Open your TikTok For You page and scroll. Every other video is pushing the same body type, the same vibe, the same ideal. After a while, that starts to rewire what you think is normal. When I scroll, I constantly see Lululemon sets and or something styled exactly like it almost every time. And it's nearly always shown on a very specific body type. Lean, toned, flat stomach, long legs. That repetition is not random. The issue isn't that trends exist. Trends have always been here. The real issue is the speed and the intensity. They rotate fast and comparison is right in your face 24/7. Before, you compared yourself to a few celebrities in magazines. Now you're comparing yourself to thousands of influencers with curated lighting, editing tools, strategic angles, and sometimes full professional teams behind them. That's a whole different level of pressure. So when the aesthetic shifts from exaggerated curves to toned minimalism, it spreads instantly. No slow transition, no grace period. Women who just adapted to one era are suddenly expected to pivot again, adjust again, spend again. And that constant pivot, it creates emotional burnout and real financial strain, because chasing every new ideal is not cheap. It also means new wardrobes, new routines, new supplements, new gym memberships. The vibe may look softer and more natural, but the upkeep is still serious work. Let's be honest. Early alarms, strict meal plans, Pilates packages, matching sets, skincare stacks, that lifestyle is not low effort. Like I said, the pressure didn't disappear. It just changed outfits. Now let's get into my fourth and final point. Growth or just another overcorrection. This is where I really sit with it. I do believe part of this shift is real growth. Some women are reversing procedures. Some are genuinely focusing on their health. Some stepped away from exaggerated aesthetics because they realized it wasn't sustainable long term. That part is valid, very valid. But I also have to ask, are we just swinging the pendulum again? Instead of dramatic curves, now the spotlight is on slimness. Instead of heavy glam, now it's barely their makeup. Instead of flashy labels and loud luxury, now it's muted tones and understated branding. The aesthetic changes, but the hierarchy stays intact. There's always a top-tier look. The women who match the current trend get praised, reposted, and pushed to the front. The women who don't, they get labeled outdated or played out. That cycle feels way too familiar. And here's the real part. People live in their bodies every single day. They are not trends. They can't just rebrand their physical appearance every few years without emotional weight or serious financial consequences. That kind of constant reinvention isn't empowerment. Sometimes it's exhaustion dressed up as evolution. So when we ask whether we're overcorrecting body standards, what we're really asking is deeper than trends. Have we actually learned how to detach our self-worth from whatever look is hot right now? Or are we still chasing the version of beauty that feels safest, most praised, most protected in the moment? Because if the last decade proved anything, it's that the ideal will shift again. It always does. The pendulum never stays still. It swings hard one way, then snaps right back the other way. And every time it moves, women feel it first. So my real closing thought is this. Are we overcorrecting beauty standards again? I think there's a strong case that we are. Yes, some of this wellness shift feels necessary. Some of it feels thoughtful and self-aware. But when an entire culture pivots this fast and the women who don't pivot start feeling behind, that's a red flag. That tells me we may not have fully addressed the root issue. We just changed the packaging. The pressure is still here. The question is, are we finally going to break the cycle or just keep repainting it? Beauty standards don't disappear. They just evolve. And when they evolve this fast, the price of keeping up starts to look invisible. But trust me, it's still there. The money, the time, the mental energy, it doesn't vanish just because the aesthetic looks softer or more healthy. It just hides behind better branding. But I really want to know how you feel. Does this era honestly feel healthier to you? Do you feel less pressure now than during the peak of the BBL era? Or does it feel like the same cycle, just styled differently and packaged in neutral tones? That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Drop your thoughts below. What do you think? What are you noticing? Let's really talk about it.